Next module, we have module 4. We will have module 4A and B because this is quite a long topic. So we will just finish the execution pillar A this afternoon. No? We have here the design and development of your L&D intervention. Okay, so we have the same performance objective for our L&D for PRIME-HRM maturity level 2. Okay, so for the specific learning objectives, let us just review. The first one is we want to appreciate the value of administering a learning and development system that meets the PRIME-HRM maturity level 2 requirements. So, and then second is to assess your own L&D system vis-a-vis the PRIME-HRM L&D pillars, elements, and level 2 indicators. So for this afternoon, we are discussing actually one pillar. So L&D planning and execution. Next, we have discussed the purpose, principles, processes, and practices in relation to customizing and administering own L&D. And next one is to identify areas for customization in the agency's current L&D system. So this is very important that you are able to identify the areas for customization. Otherwise, this virtual assistance is futile, if we're not able to apply this virtual technical assistance. Next is to prepare a draft customized L&D system. So I leave this to you, the preparation of a customized L&D system, L&D plan, and the administration plan. Okay. So we have, for the second, we are actually discussing the second pillar, the planning and monitoring and evaluation. The execution is the last pillar. Okay. So for the learning and development, we finished already, planning and monitoring and evaluation. That was module 3. And for module 4, as I have mentioned, we have module 4A and B because execution is quite long because you have there, as you can see, under execution, you have L&D design, L&D delivery, L&D development rather first, before delivery, and then L&D management. Okay. Let's have another poll. So our last poll question for this afternoon, poll question number 3. Let me launch the poll. The question is, what area or areas of the L&D execution pillar do you need to customize in your agency? So is it L&D design? So you just choose one, L&D design, development, delivery, or management. Okay, I'm seeing some answers already. So there are those who voted already. So leading pa ang L&D development is leading. So only 7 have voted. We're waiting for you to vote. We will extend this up to 1 minute and 30 seconds, if we will get less than 50% by then, when we reach 1 minute. We still have 36% who voted. So probably there are others who are not back yet. So, or have not voted, Not everyone can vote in the poll, For you to be able to vote, you must be a registered Zoom user. So you must register with Zoom so that you can vote in the polls. Now, I had this experience in my first few participation in Zoom meetings and Zoom virtual lectures. I was not able to participate in the polling because I had not registered with Zoom. Okay, registration is actually free, So next time, maybe you can register so that you can participate in the polling. Okay, so we now have 50% who have voted. And, okay, so we will wait until we have finished 2 minutes. We're almost there. Only 50% have voted. So meaning only 50% maybe have registered with Zoom. Okay. So maybe you can type your answers in the chat box for those who could not vote. Let me end the poll and let me share with you the results. Okay. So this is the result of the polling. So 55% actually said that they needed to improve on L&D development. And then 27% said that they should improve on L&D design. And 18% said that they should improve on L&D management. So nobody actually voted for L&D delivery. So probably you are experts at delivery of learning and development interventions. So there's no need to improve on that. Okay, so let me stop sharing and let us proceed with our discussion. Okay, for this session, our objective is to explain the different items in PRIME-HRM Level 2 execution pillar, and then assess own L&D system against requirements of Level 2 execution pillar. As I have said, there is another module for the execution pillar. So we'll just limit ourselves with the first module for the execution pillar. So L&D execution, this refers to processes to operationalize elements of L&D cycle. It defines guidelines and processes that facilitate integrated management of L&D programs and activities. Okay, so for the execution, for the design systems, these are the requirements for PRIME-HRM maturity level 2. So these are the indicators. For level 2 process defined, the agency must have a training design process that involves developing terminal and session objectives aligned with validated learning needs of targeted learners to guide training activity plan preparation and implementation. So it's highlighted here that the agency has to have a training design process. So we just don't conduct trainings. There should be a process for this, and this process should be documented. So what are the evidence requirements? The evidence here, we have training needs analysis or survey or result of the accomplishment of the IDP, the individual development plan. Next is the documented training design process. How do you prepare a training design? What is the process for doing that? Next is a sample training design with course overview, terminal, and session objectives. So we need to have the sample approved training design by your agency head. And next, the other ER or evidence requirement is a detailed activity plan. Okay. For the design practices, for level 2 process defined for the competency needed from the manager supervisors, they should be able to cite example of how L&D design process aligns the training objectives with the learning needs of the target employees. So I will leave this to you that your managers and supervisors, not just the HRMOs, can actually define or can actually detail how an L&D design process is done. Level 2 process design. So the agency designs training programs that use a mix of methodologies that are learner-centered. For example, experiential and participative, to facilitate achievement of learning objectives. The design is captured in a training activity plan. So aside from the training design, you must have a training activity plan. So the evidence requirement here is a sample detailed training activity plan or design containing experiential and participative methodology. Okay. And the competency needed from the supervisors and managers, they can describe or cite example of in-house training programs that use a mix of methodologies that are appropriate to identify learning objectives. So it's easy actually to cite an example of an in-house training program. But the latter requirement, which is for them to be or for them to be able to cite an example that use identified learning objectives, no, this can be tricky sometimes. But of course, this can easily be done, no, if all our training programs actually have learning objectives. Okay. For the execution pillar, designing L&D interventions for the competencies needed, the HRMO and the HR bodies, no, as well as the manager supervisor. So HR body for the L&D, as I have mentioned, or as I had mentioned in the previous session, is the HRDC. So the HRDC members, the HR staff, and the supervisors managers must prepare a training activity plan that includes terminal and session objectives. So they must have an experience in doing this. No, I think one best solution to this is to let all your department heads, the different department heads, to actually come up with a training activity plan for their different departments, no, for local government units or for the different divisions, no, for the different division chiefs, so that they will be able to actually experience how it's done. Otherwise, if there is no application, if they were not able to do this, it will be hard for them to answer the questions during the validation phase of the PRIME-HRM. Okay, so this training activity plan must include terminal and session objectives, topics and methodologies to address validated learning needs of specific groups. Okay, so we'll have the L&D execution and then the assessment. Okay, so what is ADI? So the ADI model, we have analysis, design, develop, implement, evaluate. No? Okay, so the ADI model, you have first sa analysis, you have goal setting. Your focus is on the learner's needs, no, based on the assessment that you conducted, the requirements, the tasks, the current capabilities or competencies of the employee, no? And what, as I have mentioned earlier, so you don't just analyze the employee's competency requirements or competency gaps. You also need to analyze the requirements for the particular job or the task. And then you also have to analyze whether these are aligned, no, with the mandate, the mission, vision of the agency. So next, we design, no, the learning and development intervention. So you must have learning objectives. You must have the delivery format. How will it be delivered? Will it be virtual, face-to-face? So what are the different activities and exercises, the different workshops that you will conduct? The tools to be used to gauge performance. Next, you develop. So you create a prototype, you develop course materials, no? You review, and then you will have pilot sessions or pilot implementation. So let's say, for example, like I developed these JEDC virtual PowerPoint presentations. And then, of course, before it will be implemented outside of the civil service. So we pilot tested it within the organization first. Now, next we have implement. So training implementation, tools in place, observation, and then reflects continuous modification of the program. So this is when you already implement actually your L&D intervention. You conduct the L&D intervention already. And then, of course, M&E, no? So we have evaluation, the stage in which the program is being subjected to meticulous final testing. So, okay, steps to LNA, learning needs assessment, identify needed data first, and then select data collection methods. How are you gonna collect this? I think we discussed this already. And you have to analyze, no? After you collect the data, analyze and validate the data and prepare the learning needs assessment report. Okay, so the performance environment is like an iceberg. So of course, if it's an iceberg, so there are those that you see, but there are those that you don't actually see, no? So submerged. So you will notice here that a lot of items are actually submerged and you don't see all of this. For example, sometimes we don't see even the competencies, no, required for the performance of a particular job. We also sometimes do not see, you have their job design, you have leadership style, the policies, the rewards, the culture and the norms, the structure and staffing. So the strategic thrust, supposedly, they should be visible, no? Physical environment, sometimes these are also submerged, and the resources and client demands. Okay, now we proceed with design. So for the design, we have terminal or performance, and then we have or the learning objectives levels. So first is terminal or performance objectives identified during annual L&D planning. So what are your terminal or performance objectives? So you will notice that this particular intervention, the L&D, the PRIME-HRM, you have the PM as well the RSP. You will notice that this particular uh, L&D intervention, there is a terminal or performance objective. No, we present that every time that we start conducting the session for the different modules. Now you also have learning objectives and then session objectives for the various sessions. So terminal or performance objective is usually the same, no, for the entire PM, for PRIME-HRM maturity level 2, for the entire L&D, no, for the same also for the learning objectives per system. You have the same learning objectives but different for the session objectives. So developed during design of a specific intervention. What are the terminal objectives, also known as performance objective? So these are behaviors that learners will be able to demonstrate or tasks they can do by end of the intervention. Okay, focus is performance. So like for instance, for this particular intervention, the participants must be able to administer a customized L&D system. Okay, so here is an example of a terminal or performance objective that by the end of the 4-day training program, HR officers will be able to draft needs-based training design that apply adult learning approaches and technologies and compliant with the course design quality checklist. So that's just the sample. Okay. For the enabling objectives, this form part of a lead up to or otherwise enable the achievement of terminal objectives. So this will enable the achievement. So from the word enabling, so it will enable the achievement of terminal objective. So it will break down, or this is a breakdown rather, of terminal objective into manageable objectives or learning blocks. No, so meaning you have learning objectives that are manageable. Sample enabling objective, we have, for example, for the terminal objective mentioned earlier, the enabling objective is to develop an L&A, learning needs assessment plan, to validate learning needs of target participants, or to draft training design that details learning objectives, topics, and methodologies, or develop an E-plan. So there is a specific topic, no, for the enabling objective for each number. Session objectives further break down enabling objectives into smaller learning units. So smaller than the learning objectives, we have session objectives. Describe what learners will be able to do right after a learning session or facilitate preparation of detailed training plan. Example, no, for the development of an L&A plan, to validate learning needs assessment of participants, the session objective is to explain the value and objectives. So there is a focus on the specific topics, no, the different topics for the session. You have there explain key processes and then identify methods and tools for identifying or validating learning needs. So important reminders when we develop objectives, we have to use observable terms to describe behavior or action, and then one measurable learning outcome in each objective. And this must be learner-centered. Okay, so A, B, C, D. We must know our audience, no, the target learners, the behavior needed or the core objective. So what the learners will be able to do, the condition, no, the support needed to perform the behavior, and the degree, no, the standard or efficiency level. So there is a need to determine whether effective or ineffective ba. So participants will understand the L&D management cycle. Okay, so let's not dwell on this. Let me focus on the 70-20-10 principle. I think you have heard about this. What does it stand for? The 70-20-10 principle. Can we have your answers in the chat box, please? What is the 70-20-10 principle of Michael M. Lombardo and Robert Eichinger, the career architect development planner? What does it mean? So you're still checking with Google? So waiting for your answer. Are you still there? Naapabay participants who are listening?
Yes, attorney.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me proceed, no, if you don't have any idea regarding this. So 70-20-10. So 10% based on this principle, the learning, no, the structured learning, you will just learn 10% actually from structured learning. So that's training program. So whether it's face-to-face, web-based, blended. So from this one, you will just learn 10%. So meaning the rest, you know this already. From education programs, so advanced studies like master's degree, self-study programs, e-learning, professional conferences, reading self-selected books. So you just actually learn 10%, no? From social learning, so you get actually 20% from social learning. What are these? These are coaching, mentoring, behavior modeling. So actually these are the L&D interventions that you can actually apply. So we're not limited to conducting trainings, to actually sending our employees to scholarships. So we also have, considering no, that we get only 10% from formal learning. So we get 20% actually from coaching, mentoring, behavior modeling, from feedback or performance discussions, and recognition of good performance from the different conversations with our co-employees, with supervisors, and from communities of practice. So that's much more than the 10% that we will get from formal learning structures. And then we have, sorry, and 70%. For the 70%, actually, you will get that from workplace learning. So workplace learning is shadowing, no? Like, for example, there is a new employee and then who doesn't know how to conduct an L&D intervention, then you will actually ask the employee to observe you so that the employee will know. So that's shadowing, no? And then you have their job enlargement. So there are additional functions given for the particular job. And then we have cross training and posting for other positions. No, this is possible for other positions in the government, but not for all. And for job rotation specifically for the career development of an employee, that the employee is rotated from one division to another to learn the different tasks of the different divisions. We have special job assignments, even those designations, no? Imposition of additional functions, they call it, but actually we learn a lot from the designations. And then we have also benchmarking from other government agencies, for example. You also learn more from benchmarking rather than just attending sessions, no? On the job training and work improvement teams. So if you're part of work improvement teams, then you can learn a lot from these work improvement teams. So any question regarding the 70-20-10 principle? Okay. Now focus question. Based on the 70-20-10 model for learning and development, what specific learning and development strategies are practiced in your organization? So type your answers in the Zoom chat box. So pasensya na, naduble ang the. Okay. Is it able to check that? So please type your answers in the chat box. Based on the 70-20-10 principle or model, no, for learning and development, what are actually applied in your workplace? So I'm waiting for your answers in the chat box. Why are there no answers? Balik ta sa ano? 70-20-10? Di ba daghan to ang nakalista? Sa 10% you have structured learning. 20% you have social learning. And then 70% you have workplace learning wherein you have different L&D interventions actually. So, for this...
Nag-post na mi, attorney.
Ay,
So,
na. Mao, sorry. I didn't see any answer. Okay, sorry. Okay, now I can see it. Okay, so daghan naman di ay answers. So from USTP, we have job rotations, coaching, mentoring, shadowing, webinars. Okay, so it's a combination, no, of workplace learning at the same time we have structured learning. So from USTP, from Dr. Marikit, trainings through webinar, job rotation, conversations. And then from DepEd, we have structured and social, so webinars, coaching, and mentoring. Okay. From the PGMO, coaching and mentoring. From BIR, workplace learning mostly. From DepEd also, workplace learning. So that's just 10% BI. And next is feedback. And then included on the plan, employees going through grad and post-grad studies. So that is still 10% as well. No, we learned from the 70-20-10 principle that we just get 10% from those types of learning. And then we have benchmarking, OJT, so we get more from this. We get 70% from this, no? And field visits as well for DepEd. Okay, thank you very much for your answers. Okay, so now we proceed with the different stages, no, of competence. So we need to understand this for us to be able to actually address, no, the different competency gaps of the employees, because we have to understand that there are stages the eye of competence. First is the unconscious incompetence. So you don't know that you don't know how to do something. So dili pa kahibalo. So meaning there must be something that I don't know how to do. So it's really an unconscious incompetence that probably I don't know how to do some whatever, no. Kay dili na to mahibaw-an kay unconscious man. Next one is conscious incompetence. So meaning you know that you don't know how to do something and it bothers you. Okay. Really, it bothered me before that I don't know how to use Google Form because I have to consult with HR every time I need to prepare a form. But now it doesn't because of the intervention given by the office. Now, conscious competence. You know that you know how to do something and it takes effort. Okay. So this one is that you know how to do it. So you're conscious and then you're competent. So meaning you're confident that you can do it. The other one is unconscious competence. So unconsciously, you are competent. So you don't know, you know how to do something and it is second nature. And well, the expression here is you rock at it. So, but you are unconscious about it. So you're good at it, but unconsciously. Okay. So knowing those, we must know how to address the different competencies, no, of our employees. Probably there are those, no, going back. For example, for unconscious incompetence, maybe we know that the employee is probably incompetent in one aspect, so the employee is unconscious about it, but probably the supervisor knows. So the supervisor can still address it. Okay. So next one, okay, from level 1 to level 2 under methodologies for PRIME-HRM. We're going back to PRIME-HRM requirement. So the requirement for PRIME-HRM for level 1 is just classroom based. Now, and mostly lecture and presentation. For level 2, it's a mix of learner-centered methodologies, no? So that's why we have the training activity plan wherein these methodologies are indicated. Okay, now how do we choose learning methodologies? The goal is to apply most appropriate combination to meet learning objectives and address learning needs, no, and styles of learners to facilitate acquisition and transfer of learning. So it depends actually on what the objective is. So we choose the learning methodology appropriate to the goal or to the objective. Okay, some suggestions lang as to learning methods, no? These are the inductive or learning methods can either be inductive or deductive. So for deductive, it is also known as direct instruction. So murag given ang instruction, no? This is how you do it. Premise, highly structured presentation of content leads to optimal learning. So this is the premise of this. I think for most or for some educational institutions, especially for the basic education, this is deductive, no? Deductive learning. Provides accepted principles and generalizations, then allows learners to draw possible applications. Okay. For the common deductive methods, direct instruction, we have lecture, presentation, and panel discussion. So the characteristics, no, of deductive method, it is helpful when learners have limited or no knowledge of the subject matter. So probably for beginners, no, especially for those who are new in the organization. This is faster, actually, the deductive method. It is trainer-centered. Limited learner engagement can be boring, leading to dropouts. No? For the inductive method, this is also known as discovery or inquiry learning. So the premise here is knowledge is built primarily from learners' experiences and interactions with phenomena. So this is good actually for those who have been in the government service for some time, no? Because they already have the knowledge about the different, of course, the work in the organization, the mission and vision, the goals of the organization, no? And actually, they already have experiences, different experiences and interactions, no, with their coworkers, supervisors, and they have already experienced, no, some of those subjects, no, that will be or that would be subject of the L&D intervention. It allows learner to start with an experience, so examine and reflect on that experience, draw generalizations and insights, then move into arena of action. Now, what are the common inductive methods? So as I have mentioned, this is discovery or inquiry learning. First is you have structured learning exercises. So we have workshops, simulations. We simulate, no, for example, situations, role playing. We have business games and case studies. So these are actually inductive methods. Characteristics, responsive to adult learning processes. So learner centered. It actually has higher or high learner engagement and requires more time, no? Require facilitation skills as well. Okay, because facilitation skills, you need this to draw out the different experiences of the different participants, no, for the learning and development intervention. Now, for the training activity plan, It captures all design elements in one document. So what are the design elements? So these must be included in the training activity plan. It serves as a blueprint for intervention execution. So this is the execution part, no? This is different from the L&D plan that we mentioned earlier. So the training activity plan is the execution. Now, reference for preparing logistics. It guides trainer, facilitator in conduct of L&D intervention and basis for monitoring and implementation. Okay, so this is a sample activity design. So you have first part, rationally, and then you have the objectives, the expected outputs, the participants, the date and venue, and the budgetary requirements. And then you have here the specific program for the activity. Okay, so for this particular form, actually you have here session objectives, the session activity, the expected outputs, the topics, no? The teaching or learning methodology, which is a requirement, no? Of PRIME-HRM maturity level 2 that you must have this. You have here the facilitator, the resources needed. Okay, so this is a training activity plan template. You will notice from this template that you have there the performance objective. And then you have actually, it's not mentioned ang learning objectives, but you have actually session objectives. And then you have the session activity, the expected outputs, the topic or content highlights, the teaching learning methodology. So they have different activities like getting to know you activity, presentation, pre-test, administration, etc. And then you have learning team facilitator and the resources needed. Okay. Now for the development, no, I think one of the areas mentioned wherein you need to improve is the development of L&D intervention. So you have learner materials, facilitator materials. So these are different, no? Learning materials and aids. Set of tools that facilitate learners' acquisition of knowledge and skills during training and beyond. So job aids to guide workplace application. Okay, so now we go back, we always go back to the requirement of PRIME-HRM. So under PRIME-HRM, maturity level 2, under execution, no, development systems, for level 2 process the agency develops customized learning materials and training needs to support delivery of L&D programs. This is not very difficult to accomplish, no, by government agencies. Based on experience, you have this already. Most of you have sample customized learning materials and training needs. So when you present this to us, when you submit your soft copies, make sure that you have actually the sample. No? Let's say, for example, you have an L&D intervention in one particular department. Let's say, for example, you have in agriculture. Then give us a sample of the L&D materials, no, of your PowerPoint presentation slides for that particular training. So the entire learning materials. So you can also include facilitators guide, brochures, etc. No? The training activity plan and the audio visual presentation materials. Okay. Now, what is the competency required for managers, supervisors, and HR bodies? No, they can describe, explain the types of learning materials and training aids that are used in in-house training programs that they have attended. We have this already, no, in government agencies. This is not difficult to comply. Now, for level 2 intermediate, okay, so develops customized learning materials and training needs to support delivery. Okay, if you have the customized learning materials, usually you're also the ones doing the customization, no? So this is easy to actually meet, no, the competency requirement. From design to development. So from the design, you formulate learning objectives, you flesh out the learning activity plan, and in the development, you develop or you prepare facilitator materials, develop participant materials, and learning aids. So consideration in selecting learning, training materials. So our considerations are, first are the learners, no? So what are the learning objectives? So we actually try to uh, check the materials or the materials vis-a-vis the learning objectives. What are the learners' profile? And then we also check as to the resources, no, that we have. So our learning materials will depend on the resources that we have. So do we have the time? Do we have the budget for this particular activity? If we will have this virtual, do we have a Zoom subscription for this? No? Do we have a budget for Zoom subscription? Now the space, no? Especially if it's face to face, so you need to have a venue for your L&D intervention. So the equipment that you will use, so is it suitable, no? For the conduct of a virtual orientation, for example. So you need to have the proper equipment, no? Not only the Zoom subscription, but you need to have a computer. So is your computer also fast enough, or do you have the internet connection, the required bandwidth for you to use Zoom? So the technology, the proprietary. Okay. Now for the facilitator, you need to have confidence and competence from the facilitator to be able to conduct the learning and development intervention. So these are your considerations in selecting learning training material. So before the facilitator can gain the confidence, no, and the competence, of course, the facilitator should check as well the materials developed. And sometimes it will be better, no. On my part, I usually check and then add something to the, even if there are already prepared PowerPoint presentation slides, so I'm not contented with the slides that I have, then I will add additional slides, no. Example of learning aids, you have printed and duplicated handouts, worksheets, manuals, no? And then, kani kinaraan na ni siyang flip charts, no? Marker boards and objects. And then, of course, projected displays, you have slides, PowerPoint, Prezi, etc. For the audio, we can have music, we can have different podcasts. And for the video, we have films, video clips, infographics. And computer-mediated, we have screencast, webcast. Siguro mas maka-explain mo, anak, kaysa ako. Okay, these are examples of customized learning material. So these are from DepEd RPMS Enhancement Training Workshop on Performance Monitoring and Coaching. So I'm not sure whether this is applicable to all DepEd. I think customized man siya. So meaning, this is for one DepEd division office only. So probably our DepEd here do not have this. So they have this PRIME-HRM for Quirino, no? Schools Division Office of Quirino. Now we proceed with a breakout session. So I think this is very important, no, that we identify the areas in the agency's L&D planning and M&E pillar that require enhancement, as well as it's not mentioned here, but the execution. So this is a combination of the module 3 and module 4. So this is a workshop for both modules. Now, what are your suggested improvements in your L&D planning and M&E pillar, as well as the execution pillar? So we will have our breakout session for this. Are you still here? Thumbs up if you're still here. And we can have the breakout session. Okay. So let's have 4 groups. So it will be good, no, if the different employees will be grouped with the respective agencies, so their co-workers from their agency. So let me just group you